Yo, 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 what's up, good people? What's up? Just another beautiful day, man. You be in the land of the living. It's your boy, Surrender, coming at you again. You know, able to breathe in that good prana. Yes, sir, in them lungs, man, and get it all in, man, you know, and if nothing else, that's the meaning of life for today. You understand me? Just taking those deep breaths of life in. And, man, I just wanted to just come and holler at y'all today, man. I had a powerhouse discussion with one of my good friends, man, Mike G. Definitely a good brother that I will be bringing on to some of the presentations, the lectures, and some of the live streaming and everything too, to kind of let you know what he's doing, kind of what he's involved in, and also too, hopefully, you know, he'll begin to start his own thing of putting out his understandings, man. But very bright brother, very intelligent man, very spiritual. I've been knowing him for a while, man, but we always tend to have this in-depth spiritual connection, although we don't really stay in the same vicinity of each other. And it's great to have a spiritual brother like that, man. And just kind of just chopping it up with him, man, and just going over everything that we're trying to do. You know, he just dropped a book out on Amazon and Kindle. You guys need to go pick that up. It's called Self-Motivation. The author is Mike K. Harris Jr., which is my homie Mike G, man. And you know, like I said, we get it in. Just brothers that are trying to bring the people to a better understanding of themselves, and trying to get us to involve each other in our situations, our struggles, our mishaps. We do have people who are here for us in our community, and we need to utilize these brothers and sisters while they're here. And so, you know, it's great to just know that he's one of those brothers, man, that are continual to use himself as a vessel to help others. You know what I mean? And you can't beat that. There's a lot of people out here that's here, but they doing stuff strictly for themselves. So to get somebody who has the right to live out his life the way he wants to, and to be able to offer up his own life for others, is just tremendously awesome, man. And so hats off to my homie Mike G. You'll be hearing from him soon. But we were just talking about, you know, culture, man. You know, like how culture and how history and wealth and all of those things have just been tied into where we are today as a people. You know, just talking about the depths of wealth and what wealth really means. You know, it ain't just about assets or money, but it's also about being resourceful and you know, having some possessions. And when we look at wealth from that particular vantage point of possession and resource, then we are very wealthy people, because we are very resourceful people. Very resourceful and resilient people. I would beg to differ that resourcefulness may be our greatest asset as a community of people. That because resourceful doesn't mean that we're plentiful in aspect, but it can also mean that we're very creative. Even when we're in lack of something, we can still make something out of nothing. That also is defined by resourcefulness. And so when you say resourceful, I tend to believe that that's one of our greatest attributes. We are very resourceful people, which means that we are very wealthy people, because we come with a pool of knowledge. Some knowledge we don't even know how we even know that, how we even know how to cook this or do that. But hey, we're gifted in these areas because they are natural giftings to the certain type of people that come from certain regions of the earth, right? So Africa, being the most resourceful continent on the planet, also birthed the most resourceful people. And that's why I always tell people that Africa ain't a location. It's the circle of life. It's the state of being. You know what I mean? It's how all things work together for the good of the living, right? I know you heard that in the Christian Bible, but it actually comes from the universal laws They all work together for the good of the living. And that's why I say that life is, at best, a benefit. At worst, a benefit. You can't overall judge life and say that it was wrong, because even though you may have had some wrong experiences, the fact that you were able to experience life experiences was a benefit to your life. We've all had mistakes that we've made. We've all had, different things happen to us that we thought we weren't going to be able to come from or make it from. And then we realized that we're still here, and all those things ended up working for our good at some junction in our life, whether it was just for information purposes, that we're able to, just be informal to our friends and family, or whether it was just to make us stronger, to make us better. We end up being better as a result of the totality of the experience, right? So that means that life is a benefit. You get it? And so just that in itself, culture, wealth, and history wasn't passed down in its righteous format to our people. And when you're not getting the pass down, then we really don't share in any, ideas, any acts, any values, any goals. We don't really share in those things because it wasn't taught for us to live out our lives sharing those things with somebody. Normally we reserve those things for our own personal individual outlook on life. When you say that we have to share in the attitude of something, and I'm using these things because if you go and look up the word culture, you'll see that one of the definitions for culture says that we should share in attitude, in value, in goals, and in practices that will shape our characteristics as an organization or corporation, community, whatever you want to say. So what I'm saying is that we haven't gotten any culture that tells us that we need to share an attitude about where we want to go in life. A lot of us do share the same goals and values, but we don't share in how we get there, right? We don't share in the emotional up and down roller coaster of what it takes to get there. We don't share in that. Normally it's the person that's in it that endures it. But we don't really share in every aspect of getting to the end goal. But that's culture. Culture would have taught you that sharing in these traditions, in these categories, so to speak, of life would benefit you more than taking them on alone. But when you ain't got no culture, all you can be is alone and an individual. See? So another thing. So wealth is resourceful. Culture is basically teaching the people how to share in attitude and labor values and all those things to formulate a cohesive characteristic within those people, right? We ain't got that. And then you talk about history. We already know our history has not been divulged to its fullness to us. And we have access to get that information, but it's not been divulged in some of the educational institutions that we tend to find ourselves in. But you got to get that information. You can't keep thinking that your history starts at slavery, right? The Black Americans of America history, they're going to always say started in slavery. But the Black American needs to understand that although you were a slave here in America, you come from Africa. All right? And in Africa, you were not in bondage in the same way you were here. So you can say, well, when we landed in America, we were slaves, but why not take hold of the characteristics of the people you were before you got on the ship? We never go back and look at who we were before we got on the ship, before we were forced on the ship. And people say, well, our people enslaved us. African people, let me tell you something. In earlier civilizations, and I ain't gonna say this no more, but in earlier civilizations, it was an honor to work for the chiefs and the high priests and the kings. It was an honor. And they did not beat, maim, or anything else the slaves back then, because they were not slaves. Because it was such an honor to work for the royal family, they were considered indentured servants, being treated at the highest nobility that you can be treated. They had privy to, it's basically the difference between the in-house and field house slave, right? The person who worked inside with the master normally had a better sleeping quarters than the field Negroes. That don't mean that he was, the house Negroes were living like they were white. They just were living in the house, and you wasn't. You was living in the barn. But trust me, they had the smallest room in the house. So let's not get this twisted. But at the same time, slavery in Africa was not literally slavery. It was indentured servitude. And it was actually honorable. But when the other people got their hands on us, is when they began to treat us, savagely and barbarically, because we, disobeyed orders and didn't want to be in chains or whatever. And so they thought to treat us horrible. We didn't do that to ourselves, all right? And another thing about slavery that I want people to get and understand. When you are a king or a chief of a community of people who are getting killed for no apparent reason at all, at some point, you're going to have to look at the greater good, the sonum bonum of the situation. Is it that we fight and nobody ever will know about this tribe because they will wipe us out? Or are we going to salvage? We're going to salvage the people, because the slave owners weren't necessarily killing you, they were capturing you. Now at some point, you're going to have to look at life and say, hey, these people will kill us all, or either we can go alive. Go alive, or you can be a slave alive, or you can be a dead free man. It doesn't matter, but that's a thought that has to come into the leader's mindset. And some leaders, and most leaders, are going to try to salvage life in that critical time and moment. So don't judge that situation the way that you think you can, all right? Because you've never been there. And what has happened is, when they start your history off with slavery, you ain't going to want to be like your forefathers if they were enslaved, right? You're not going to want to emulate them, be like them. You're not going to want to be in those situations, right? And if you never even had culture, so you never even have traditions of what your people do and done to make things happen for themselves, then you're stuck in between running from something, but not running to any identifiable thing. What are you going to become? So what we have is a group of people who have been given a way to be that is outside of their natural state of being. And so you have a bunch of black people with white minds that have dreams and aspirations that are coinciding with the white social standards of the society that they stay in. Because you no longer have your African agenda. You no longer have your African state of mind. You have lost your African GPS. Well, it could have told you to stay in your natural essence. In order to compete, you have to be in your best position. So your office is nature. And this nature ain't about worshiping trees and bugs and all that crap. We're not talking about that. God is everything. When I say nature, I'm talking about everything, including creations, including you. We're all nature. We're all natural. And there is a set of universal or natural laws that apply. So sometimes when we're blaming certain things or giving credit to certain things, we're overlooking that it's just universal law. It's just nature. It's laws of reciprocity, laws of attraction, laws of balance. And these laws we have to learn to know that it ain't just coincidences and it ain't just by chances, but there are laws and rules and statutes that govern the universe. And you knowing that increases you as an individual. You knowing nature increases you knowing yourself. We're one chromosome shy of being a plant, or a plant is one chromosome shy of being a human. So you can learn a lot from the plant kingdom about yourself, right? We got to take care of the planet. We got to be one with the planet. And that's the African state of mind. That's when you're at your highest consciousness. That's when you've tapped into your highest self. We're not talking about worshiping things. Those are man-made words to use for man-made entities. I'm talking about getting back on the spiritual plane to let the universe speak to you, to let the universe talk to you, to let the universe define things for you, right? That's what we're talking about here. And that's what me and my brother are talking about. So I want y'all to continue to subscribe to the YouTube page, man. Surrender, man. Subscribe to it. Follow me on Facebook at /King Render. Follow me on Instagram, Surrender100. We're going to be putting this information out by the bounds, by the loads. It's my duty to put it out, man. Like we saying, we're wealthy because we're resourceful. And we're going to be resourceful to one another. And we're going to share in this culture of being resourceful toward one another. And we're going to create this as a culture. We have an opportunity to create our own culture. And I don't want to keep passing down individualism and capitalism and selfishness, right? We want to pass down unification, community, connection. We want to pass down, great remedies, great health herbs and medicines, right? We want to pass down great traditions. A person told me the other day that they don't cook food in the pans of today. They like cooking in glassware because glass does not change the alkalinity or acidity of a food. So if I'm cooking alkaline food in glass pots and pans, it does not change the nature of my food. But as soon as I put it in some kind of metal pot or pan, whether that be iron or steel, it automatically makes the food acidic. Did you know that? Because it doesn't get passed down. But if you go to other countries or meet other people from other countries, I'm pretty sure they would tell you, yeah, we still cook like that to this day. It is these things and this information that I feel obligated to start this channel, start the conversation, and start the pass down, right? It is these little things that we need to create a culture of sharing the information. Sharing the information to one another. So keep tuning in to the information. If you guys have information, comment me, hit me in my inbox. You can email me at sirrender360@gmail. That's sirrender360@gmail. You can Facebook me at King Render. You can Instagram me at